Hey, I'm Vicky and I'm going to tell you all about the stuff that I don't buy anymore to save money. These are really cool, easy swaps that you can make to save cash every single month. Some of these swaps are physical products, so swapping one particular thing for another thing, and some of them are more about a change in mindset, and I think that a change in mindset can be one of the most valuable things that you can do in order to save money. And sometimes it's just recognizing the things that had you spending too much money, or recognizing the things that were stopping you from meeting your savings goals. So I'm going to talk about those. These are the things that I have stopped buying in order to save money. So first of all, period products. I now have not bought tampons or sanitary pads in about 3 years, I think it is now, and can't say I miss them. I don't miss the big panic every month of, oh gosh, like it's that time of the month, it's suddenly sprung up on me and I don't have the stuff on me. So what I've swapped them for is two different types of product. Period pants, so you wear these instead of sanitary towels, and a menstrual cup which you use instead of tampons. Now, what I will say is these take a bit of getting used to, okay? They are much harder to insert than a normal tampon, but once you have got your head round how to use them, how to put them in, they are so much better. This one I've got here is one from Salt. It's Salt with 2 A's, Salt. So there is a bit of a steep learning curve particularly with the menstrual cup, but I think once you are used to it, you will realise how much better it is, and it has definitely saved me money in the long run. So on a very similar vein to that, face wipes. I now haven't bought face wipes in, again, I think about 3 years. I think I had a big like reusable kind of splurge 3 years ago. So I bought these washable face wipes, and that means I no longer have to buy the disposable cotton face wipes or the makeup remover wipes that you can get as well. These are so great. I literally just chuck them in a laundry bag which came with the product, wash them in the washing machine at 30 degrees, and they come out absolutely fine. I use my makeup remover product on there and just use it as you normally would one of the disposable wipes. So good, so easy to use. I'm going to link in the description below to these ones, which I've had for several years, and they are awesome. They always wash so well, and they're super soft, super comfortable on the skin. Really great swap. So another thing that I have stopped buying in order to save money is fast fashion. I was definitely a sucker for the email landing in my inbox saying, oh, check out all the latest stuff. And do you know what? I still have to fight that sort of urge to buy the latest thing. But what I try and do now is think more about items that will actually be worn every single year, not stuff that I'm just going to wear for one season. And I also make sure I'm thinking about, well, what's already in my wardrobe. And sometimes what I will have to do, and this does really help, is pull out a load of stuff from your wardrobe and really look at what you've already got. Say you've had a wedding invite, really look at the stuff that's already in your wardrobe, because more often than not you'll actually be surprised at the stuff that's in there, and you'll realise, oh, actually I can put an outfit together out of that. Understanding your spending triggers can really help with this. So for me, a lot of it is email marketing, but also influencers, you know, who are there wearing gorgeous new outfits every day. I love following people who make that kind of content. I find it really interesting and inspiring. But on the other hand, if it is tempting you to spend money that you need to save for whatever reason, then maybe it's a good idea to mute or unfollow for a couple of months just to get you back on track. And on a similar vein to fast fashion, accessories and just all the stuff, and I don't just mean like accessories like that you wear, so necklaces and earrings and handbags and shoes, but I also mean accessories for your home. Again, it's a similar thing with fast fashion. I'm always sucked in by the marketing of the new must-have, like, you know, oh, this amazing lamp will look so great, or replacing the bedside tables, which are perfectly fine, but with these other bedside tables that just look so cool. All the accessories that you don't need. And I think what's really helped me is I've actually thought about, well, how many times do I actually wear a necklace to go out, and how many times do I actually wear a bracelet, and how many times do I actually wear rings? Sometimes reminding yourself, A, of what you've got, and B, realistically how much you're going to wear it, can really help to cut out temptation. So another thing that I used to spend money on and it just was something that I got in the habit of. Fresh flowers. So I didn't buy them on a weekly basis, but I was buying them on at least a monthly basis. Part of it was that I was taking pictures of them for my Instagram feed at the time, which, like, realistically, it kind of wasn't getting my Instagram feed anywhere where I wanted it really to go. Now I'm way more into plants and actually I was one of those people who up until a few years ago could not keep a plant alive, but I started buying plants from Patch Plants, which is they post the plants to you, and none of them die, no matter how hard I try. I don't know, I'm not trying to kill them. None of them die. They all thrive. It is unbelievable. Whereas every plant that I bought before then died. Actually, I tell a lie, I've got one plant from IKEA, one of those big, very leafy, kind of jungly ones. You can tell I know nothing about plants because I don't even know what it's called. I have one plant from IKEA that has lasted. It's starting to go a little bit brown on the ends of the leaves, so might need a little bit of pruning. But yeah, that's my only plant that's survived. Everything else in the house that I'm going to show you, that's all from Patch Plants. Absolutely love them. Their plants survive and their pots are really nice as well. And in the long run, I've definitely saved money on fresh flowers. If you think you can end up spending like 15, 20 pounds, sometimes even more on a really nice bunch of fresh flowers for your home. Plants set just as nice of an aesthetic in your home. It's having that sort of natural decor in there, bringing a bit of colour, but they're actually gonna last. So this next thing isn't quite something that I have stopped buying altogether, but it's something I've cut back on, and that is takeaways and meals out as well. So before the kids, I would say that we ate out at least once a week. And if you think how much a meal out costs, with wine as well, because when you go out more often than not, you might probably have a glass of wine, it really, really adds up. Now I've found a bank of recipes that really satisfy my cravings for certain takeaways. So like Thai, Indian, pizza, those were all, and Nando's as well. Oh my god, I love Nando's so much. Those were all things that really, really suckered me in. Ever since I bought a pizza oven, and I did a review of it the other week, ever since I got a pizza oven for my birthday, I'll link to the review below, I have found that I don't need the takeaway pizza because the pizzas that I cook in the pizza oven are so good. Now that I have a really amazing at-home curry recipe, I find I don't need the Indian takeaways as much. That's not to say I never do it, okay? Because sometimes you get to a Friday night and you're just like, I cannot be bothered to cook. I'm just not going to do it. So you've got to be realistic here, okay? Saying that you're going to cut back on something doesn't mean that you swear it off for life. But I've cut back and it has definitely saved me hundreds of pounds over the course of a year. Another thing that I don't buy to save money is credit. I think I've had maybe 2 credit cards in my entire adult life, and I think one I took out, it was like a store credit card, and I took it out in order to get the discount. And then the other one I think came with a bank account that I had, and like one day I realised I hadn't used it in like 5 years, so I just cut it up. Credit cards are something that I know some people like to use because you can get a lot of benefits with them, and I do realise that, like, you know, whether that be cashback or points that you can collect. I know people that do that and they do really, really well. I personally don't. I've just always avoided it. I've always avoided that kind of thing. The only thing that I have credit on is my phone. That's the only thing that I've had credit on for the last 10 years. I own my car outright, and I suppose what that means is, for me, in terms of peace of mind, is that I own everything, I don't owe anything, and I don't have escalating bills that are going to really, really get out of hand, which is something that I really worry about, like with things like Klarna, which I feel like in the last few years, Klarna now pops up at every single transaction that I do. I'm being offered Klarna credit all the time, and it's just something that I would much rather avoid, because I think credit can be a little bit of a slippery slope. That's not to say I'm saying, hey, if you're using credit, it's a really bad idea. You know, if you've got a system in place where you're paying off whatever it is you put on a credit card, then that's great. But for me, I just kind of don't want to get on, I don't want to take the chance, I don't want to get on the slippery slope just in case. So the next one is storage boxes and storage furniture. So instead of that now, I am trying to declutter on a regular basis and sell our stuff. I often use Facebook Marketplace. Sometimes I'll use eBay to sell old clothes and toys and stuff. It's really, really good because I often do get a few pounds, even for something that's a few years old. So it's really, really worth taking a look at your stuff and seeing what you can get rid of instead of buying, you know, another chest of drawers, because I very much got into the mindset of buying all these pretty storage boxes. So I had these lovely metal ones that I've kept a lot of my clothes in, and they look great, but actually in the end they just take up quite a lot of space. And really what is much more sensible for me is, instead of putting my collection of jumpers in there, is going through them and seeing which ones realistically I'm wearing on a weekly basis and which ones I could get rid of. If you've got to the point, which is where I got to, where you keep thinking, oh, if I buy another box, if I buy another thing, that's gonna sort of solve the chaos problem in my house. Actually, maybe it's time to think, well, is it time now? Is your house at capacity and a box isn't going to solve it? Another pretty decorative storage box or another large storage crate isn't going to solve this. Is it now time to do a bit of a clear out and utilize the storage that you've got a little bit more wisely? Another thing I don't buy anymore to save money is magazines. So I used to buy, the magazines that I used to really love were like the film magazines, and also gossipy magazines like Heat, and then women's magazines like Cosmopolitan. But as the cover price went up, I was finding it harder to sort of justify the cost versus how much time it was actually entertaining me for. So if it was only entertaining me for maybe 30-40 minutes of flicking through the pages, then to me it just became less and less worth the money. So these days I'm more than happy to buy myself a new book, and what I'll often do actually is I'll go on Amazon and see if there are used copies of a book that I really want to read, because you can save a little bit of money doing it that way. And I also raid the local charity shops occasionally just to see if any of the latest releases are in there. But I find I can much more justify buying a new book than buying the magazines that don't entertain me very long, because I know that the book is gonna, like, you know, keep me entertained for at least a week of reading it. And then of course the other benefit with a book is that you can sell it on afterwards. Branded food items and other things that you may buy, such as medicines, are another thing that I stopped buying in order to save money. With things like tins of chopped tomatoes, tins of beans, any kind of painkiller, you'll notice that there is a huge difference in price between the supermarket own brand product, the equivalent, and the branded product. And actually turn the box over and look at the ingredients and you'll see it's exactly the same thing, So, and there are certain things where you really won't notice. So certainly with things like tinned beans, tins of chopped tomatoes, I just don't notice. Passata, that kind of stuff, tomato puree, I just don't notice the difference. So those switches can maybe only save a few pence on certain products, but if you're doing it regularly over the course of the year, that's going to add up to a lot more money. Another thing that me and my husband stopped buying to save money was expensive gifts for each other. Now, every now and then we do splurge and treat each other. For example, last year my husband bought me a pizza oven, which I absolutely love. But more often than not at Christmas and birthdays these days, we'll actually just say, look, we're not going to buy each other anything. Maybe next time we go out for a meal, that will be like, you know, our present to each other for Christmas or our presents to each other for birthdays. So sometimes we'll treat ourselves to something slightly different instead of buying the stuff. Another thing I try to avoid to save money is subscription boxes. So just to add, there is a subscription box that I do get, and that is Simply Cook, which I really, really rate because it's much cheaper than some of the other meal subscription boxes, and I feel that the recipes always work, whereas with other subscription boxes services that I've tried, they haven't always worked. And also, once you get your recipe kits, they last, you don't have to use them that week, because the way Simply Cook works is they just send you sort of, you know, the herbs, the stock, the flavors basically, and you have to buy the meat and the fresh veg. So the box lasts a little bit longer than say things that you might get from HelloFresh or Gusto. So I do get that as a subscription box. But when it comes to things like beauty products, and I think you can also get subscription boxes for like clothes and stuff like that, I've looked at them in the past and I've been tempted, but I've stopped myself, because I know that while I may get a subscription box and look at it and think, oh, that's so lovely, the thing is it stuff that I actually need? And the thing is, actually, no, it wouldn't be. It would be stuff that's surplus to what I already have. And as nice as it might be, when I know that I've got a savings goal in my mind, actually I need to keep my focus on that rather than adding more stuff that I don't need to my makeup collection, to my beauty collection, that kind of thing. Another thing that I avoid in order to save money is shopping for the buzz. Undoubtedly, shopping certainly gives me a bit of a dopamine hit. Like, it feels good to buy something new. It's got that sort of shiny effect, doesn't it? When you've got that brand new thing, you're taking it home, you can't wait to wear it for the first time. The first couple of times you put it on, it's amazing, it's amazing. And then after the first few wears, it loses that sheen and you kind of seek out that buzz again. And it's kind of hard to resist that. But I think once you're aware of it and change your mindset about it, and sort of once you recognize it, it can be a lot easier to resist. And I think also coupled with that, if you're watching this video wanting to save money, this is the reason maybe why you're watching, for whatever reason you want to save money, I think it can really, really help to have that reminder in the back of your head. What is your goal in terms of saving? How much do you want to save? How much do you need to save? And therefore, I think it makes it much easier to resist that shopping buzz. And you need to try and replace it with the buzz of saving, because even though, look, checking my savings account isn't quite the same buzz as getting a lovely brand new pair of boots. It's not quite the same. It is still a buzz. And I think peace of mind might be boring, but I think what I've found is if I can remind myself that while peace of mind may be boring, having it is way more valuable than that kind of shopping buzz. And I think something else that goes hand in hand with that is that sort of feeling of needing to keep up with the Joneses, that feeling of needing to have the latest stuff, needing to make your house look amazing, needing to be wearing the latest thing that everyone else is wearing. I think it can be really, really hard, particularly with social media these days. Everything is out there in front of you. You sort of can mistakenly end up with this perception that other people are spending more than you all the time, or they've always got the latest stuff and you don't. I think what I would say is you never know what someone's individual story is. You don't know what kind of debt they're getting in or what any kind of other struggles that they might be having in their life. So I think trying to avoid comparison syndrome, it's hard, but it's so, so important when it comes to keeping yourself on track with savings. I really hope you found this video useful. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next upload. Bye.